So today we're going to start putting in the bottom stringers of the hull. There are 4 stringers that run the whole length of the boat on each side of the boat. So for a total of 8 stringers. The first thing I need to do is notch the frames to accept the stringers. The stringers are going to be 1.5 by 1/4 flat bar. Because the stringers are equally spaced across the bottom of each frame, and each frame is a different dimension, then the spacing is different on each and every frame. So I go through and I verify and mark the center positions or the center lines of each of the stringers. Then I verify the last measurement to the keel. If it equals out to the previous ones that I've been marking, then I know I've marked it correctly and haven't been off any. If it doesn't add up, then I erase them all and try again until it's correct. I square off that line with the bottom of the frame because each of the stringers will be perpendicular to the bottom of the frame. Measure twice, cut once. Then lay out the 1/4 inch wide, 1.5 inch deep slots for each of the stringers. Then, using the plasma cutter, cut the slots out on the line. I then double check the depth of each slot and the width to make sure the stringer will fit in and be flush with the bottom of the frame. If all has worked out so far, I then cut limber holes in what would be the top side of the stringer. I don't want water to build up on top of the stringer and be trapped up against a frame. It would create a point of rust and cause me issues later. So I cut off a little notch to allow the water to drain down to a bulkhead, where I'll cut another hole into the stringer, which will allow the water to drain down into the bilge and get it out of the boat. Then I drag the flat bar from the welding area over to the boat and start pulling it up into the notches. I started from the outside, working my way in so that I could leave that ladder there as long as possible. Then, starting just aft of the stem, I welded the longitudinal or the stringer to each of the frame. A crescent wrench seemed to work the best for twisting the stringers into place so that I could get them welded.
Sarah,
Yeah.
you got a second? Come brainstorm with me. So here's the deal. This one's temporary. I just got it jammed in there so I can get a general idea. Okay? But I gotta cut this one to meet the stem. Okay? Now, my intention is that the plating, when it comes to the stem, is 1 inch from the front. So there will be 1 inch of stem sticking outside of the boat. The rest of it's buried inside.
Right.
Okay? Now, to get that, no, that's 1.5 inches. And I know that sounds a lot good. But by the time you put 1 inch at this angle, the leading edge of that 1/4 inch will then be at 1 inch. Right? So I gotta cut these to meet that line. Now there's 4. So I set the bottom one, and of course this one's already tacked in everywhere but here and here. Oh, by the way, I screwed up and put in a tank. Yeah. But moving on. So here's my thought, and you tell me what you think. I think what I gotta do is the angle of these bars is the angle they're gonna be moving in, is what I'm thinking. So if I look at it, parallel and make my mark, right? I should be able to do equidistant between here and here for these two. Or do I just skip those, not mark them, and then as they come in, place them?
I think if they come in and place it.
Because see, I kind of want them equal as they come down. But I mean, obviously down here.
Well, yeah, and I understand that, but I mean, what's up? Just in case they don't come out equal, I would just go with the flow. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Because we're gonna be fighting it, and it's gonna want to pull, and I think you should go with the flow.
Okay. So I'm watching Doug's video one day, and he needed to drag something across his yard or something. This is Doug at SV Secret. And he had built these huge anchors, and he dragged them out over into this lot next to him, anchored it into the ground, and used it to pull against. And so when I was pouring the concrete for the gantry crane tracks, I had some extra concrete, or I wasn't sure if I was going to have some extra concrete, so I built a couple of forms. And in those forms, I poured the extra concrete, put some rebar in them so I could move them around and stuff. They are literally 1,300 pounds each of concrete. And this is what I use them for. I set them down, and I can grab a hold of them with come-alongs or whatever I need to do and crank them in. So I've used the cramp out of them on this forward section of the hull, and they've turned out to be very handy. So I'll say this. Thanks, Doug. Okay, so I'll cut these and start bringing them in. Based on that thought. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think going with the flow would definitely make your life a little bit easier, because you'll overthink something and be like, it's gotta be right here.
Right. And then fight it the whole way.
So yeah, I think it can become pretty easier to go with the flow. The boat will tell you what it wants.
Well put. Well